Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum dear students. Our today's session is on presentation skills. Presentation skills are of crucial importance for students because they are a way of demonstrating how far they have learned and how effectively and efficiently they have learned all that. Before I go into the details of today's session, I would like to share a quick review of the previous session. As far as our previous lesson was concerned, it was on notes taking or notes making. I started the session by introducing what is note taking or notes taking. Then I introduced to you different types of note taking. The main formats that I shared with you were the Cornell format, the mind map format, and standard organized outline format. I shared important characteristics and features of each of these formats. I also showed you some examples of notes that were prepared on the format of different formats that people used. I also shared with you some good and bad samples of how you can work on different parts of your mind map and you can improve the note-taking process. With that, I moved on to the advantages of note-taking, and I shared with you how and why it is important for learning to take notes. I related it to your academic life and the possibilities of its use in your future professional life. With that, we came to the most important part of the session, that was regarding how to take notes. I gave you some tips on how note-taking can be made less laborious and an easy task. I shared with you some strategies, steps and processes that if taken care of, lead towards making good notes. Towards the end of the session, we had some activities and exercises where we had some materials to read and then to prepare notes based on them. And I also showed you some sample notes prepared for those activities. With this, we come to the session that we have today. Our current session is on presentation skills, as I have already told you. Well, we would start with the definition of what is a presentation and what makes a good presentation. In this regard, I would also talk about what is the importance of presentation skills in the lives of students. With this, I would move on to the types of presentations, where I would share what are the different possibilities of presenting your materials. Planning your presentation, remembering the audience, and preparing to present. All these areas would be covered in today's session. I would also talk about how to write your contents for your presentation. Use of PowerPoint, overhead projectors or flip charts will also be discussed, and advantages or disadvantages will be shared. What to do on the day of presentation, that is during the process of presentation or immediately before the presentation, this would also be discussed. Important issues of speed and pacing during presentation would also be highlighted. I would give you some tips and share some strategies regarding how to improve your presentation skills. And we would see what is the secret of success in presentation skills. Towards the end of the session, we would have some activities to see how far we have understood the importance of presentation skills and strategies related to successful presentation skills. So today, before I go on to the further details of the session, I would like to share at the outset what is a presentation. A presentation is a means of communication which can be adapted to various speaking situations, such as talking to a group, addressing a meeting, or briefing a team. To be effective, step-by-step preparation and the method and means of presenting the information should be carefully considered in this regard. I would like to say that a presentation is a reflection of you and your work. You want to make the best possible impression in a short amount of time given to you. When I relate it to the academic contexts, especially the academic contexts in Pakistan, I would like to say that presentations are very important and very crucial for students. No matter how much do you know, no matter how far you have worked hard on learning, if it is not projected properly in your presentation, it may lead towards some loss on your part. It would be disadvantageous for you, of course. Presentations in academic context mean presentations of certain contents that you are supposed to prepare and present. It also may mean presentations of your assignments and your projects. Sometimes students at the master's level, they have to do some small research projects that they have to present. These presentations again may mean oral presentations or written presentations or combinations of oral and written, both type of presentations. What do you think about your presentations as distant learner students of this particular course or the other courses of the same level? There would be certain ways in which you would be presenting at different time points, so it is important for you to know what are presentation skills. Like note-taking skills, as I discussed in the previous session, presentation skills are also very much useful in our daily contexts of lives where we work in different professional fields. So once you are done with your academic presentations and you enter into your professional life, actually again they are a big source of help, because there are many jobs in which you have to prepare and present materials to people. Presentation skills are a very important tool in the study skills of students, especially when it comes to high levels of education. What makes a good presentation then is a crucial question for the students. Good presentation is the key to confidence, which is the key to being relaxed. If you are confident about your work, you would be relaxed about that. Good presentation and rehearsal reduces your nerves, decreases the likelihood of errors, and communicates to your audience that they are important. Preparation and knowledge are the prerequisites for a successful presentation, and confidence and control will flow from good presentation. So the conclusion so far we derive about a good presentation is that a good presentation is one that is well prepared and well rehearsed. Once you have these two characteristics present in your presentation, the natural result is that you would be confident and you would be able to control the whole flow of your presentation. A great presentation does not just happen. Well, this is a reality, though bitter it may be. It is planned, rehearsed, then delivered with flair. A good presenter is one who learns the skill of presenting, not one who hopes for talent to carry them through. अब इंटरेस्टिंग बात तो ये है ना कि like I have always been talking through the whole course that study skills means all those things that you can learn, because the very word skill gives the clue to that. Like study skills in general, like communications as a part of study skills, and like speaking, reading, listening, and writing, all the four as communication skills. At every step I reiterated that each one of these is a skill, which means it can be learned. Same goes then for presentation skills. Presentation skills, as the use of the very word skill with it tells, are something that can be learned with practice. It is not about a natural talent, it is more about how much effort and time you spend on learning to present effectively and efficiently. Public speaking is a skill, not a talent, and you can be a good presenter if you learn the skills for presentational success. With this, we move on to different types of presentations. These types of presentations are based on the purposes for which presentations are made. The first type is informative presentations. The purpose of an informative presentation is to communicate information, facts, and data. Keep an informative presentation brief and to the point. Stick to the facts and avoid complicated information. All that type of presentations that are informative and that are done by students, they are most of the times related to more scientific or knowledge-oriented subjects, and they are more towards the core sciences. So when you are presenting on those areas, and even when you are presenting on humanities and arts courses, but you are presenting on topics that are more information based, in all these cases what you need to do is to stick to the point and try to be as much relevant as you can be. Information is something that is to be understood and responded to by the listeners of or the audience of your presentation when it is informative in nature. So if it would be more condensed and it would be more complicated, it would become difficult for the audience to understand that, which might result as a flop for your presentation. Secondly, instructional presentations. The purpose of an instructional presentation is to give specific directions or orders. Your presentation will probably be slightly longer given that it has to cover your topic in detail. In an instructional presentation, your listeners should come away with new knowledge or a new skill. On all those topics where you have to tell how a process would take place, in that case, you have to follow the rules of instructional presentations in your academic contexts. The third type can be attention-grabbing presentations, and I would say that the purpose of an attention-grabbing presentation is to make people think about a certain problem or situation. You want to arouse the audience's emotions and intellect so that they will be receptive to your point of view. In that case, because the purpose is to seek the attention of people or to make people think about something, it is important that you use vivid language that is attention grabbing and that shows the sincerity and enthusiasm of the presenter as well as the project or idea that is being presented. The fourth type is persuasive presentations. The purpose of a persuasive presentation is to convince your listeners to accept your proposal. A convincing persuasive presentation offers a solution to a controversy, dispute, or problem. To succeed with a persuasive presentation, you must present sufficient logic, evidence, and emotion to sway the audience to your viewpoint. And the last type of presentation on the list in terms of the purpose of presentation is decision-making presentations. The purpose of decision-making presentation is to move your audience to take your suggested action. A decision-making presentation presents ideas, suggestions, and arguments strongly enough to persuade an audience to carry out your requests. So, decision-making presentations are those presentations where you need to be firm enough and strong enough to sound convincing. Well, these were the types of presentations. However, I would like to point out that these were not the only possibilities of classifying presentations in terms of their different types. As I have already said, they are according to their purpose, but according to the tools that are used to present, according to the nature of the contents that is to be presented, and the context in which presentations are made, there can be other categorizations or classifications of presentations as well. When it comes to planning your presentation, it is important to plan your presentation and think about how long it will take you to prepare. So, pre-hand planning and work on the presentation well before in time, it is very, very important for a successful presentation. A few steps for planning a presentation are researching the audience, which means you need to know for whom you are going to present, to whom you would present, who are the people who would listen to you. Choosing the title, and if you are not supposed to choose the title, if in some academic contexts the title or the topic of presentation is given to you by your respective teacher or some other academic authority, in that case, clarity on what your topic is. The next step is writing the talk. Based on that topic, focused on that topic, you need to write the whole presentation for yourself. You would be sketching the whole presentation for yourself, and then the next stage would be preparing the slides. These slides work as signposts for you to guide you through your presentation. So for signposting, it is important that you find suitable images, which is the next step. To guide yourself through the presentation so that you may not be lost on your way as you are presenting, you can prepare some prompt notes or cards for yourself that you can carry in your hand or place somewhere closer to you as you are presenting. So the next step is to prepare prompt notes or cards. An important step for planning a presentation is researching the venue. You need to know the venue and some practice, of course. At the very outset of today's session, I said that rehearsal is an important part of presentations. So the more you have rehearsal, the more you have practice, the more you have practice, the more you have the skill to present. And the more you would have this set of skills to present, the more you would feel confident, of course. And the final step before you really go ahead to present, as a part of planning of your presentation, it is important to set up the room. The equipment, the environment, the setting of the room, everything is to be checked, and if there is something that is not how you want it to be or something has gone wrong, you need to fix it before you start with your presentation. Well, the first step that I said is remember the audience. Going into the details of that, I would say never take your audience for granted. People have very short attention span. Not more than 15% of their brain power is required to understand the language and grasp what you mean. So don't let the remaining 85% of their brain to do daydreaming. It is very easy for people who sit to listen to a presentation to have mental flights. So their physical presence would not be enough. It is important that they are mentally present and active. And not only active but also responsive to what you present. To keep your audience with you, you must build in new devices, that is, make your message visual, build anticipation of what you say, create a conversation style or a conversation cycle in which you need to involve, if it is a face-to-face presentation, you need to involve the audience. Use role play practices to keep your listener's mind 100% occupied. Well, these role play practices are optional. It depends on what you are presenting. But in Pakistani academic contexts, most of the times, students do not use these in general contexts. When you start preparing to present, it is important for you to know the following. Check yourself for the following. Number one, objectives. Why are you giving this talk? Which means, what is the purpose of this presentation. Who will be the audience, or who will you be talking to? Number 3, how much do they know about the subject already, and what effect do you want your presentation to have? बहुत सारी दफ़ा ऐसा होता है कि you know what you're going to talk about, but you do not know how much people already know. तो आप वो बिल्कुल अलिफ से बात शुरू करते हैं, and it becomes disinteresting for the audience because they already know all that and they don't find anything new. So it is very, very important for you that you arrange and organize your presentation in such a way that the information sounds interesting, and it becomes, even if it is not new, it becomes interesting for them the way you present it. You need also to know what effect do you want to create through your presentation. So one of your objectives should be to know what effect you want to have, what is your ultimate goal that you want to achieve through the presentation. My dear students, in general, I would say that a person who knows his or her weaknesses as well as strengths is a more successful person than the one who does not know his or her weaknesses and strengths. So when it comes to preparing your presentation, it is also very important that you know your weaknesses and strengths. Check yourself for your limitations. How long have you got? Do you have to follow a certain format? Which means, are you restricted or limited to a particular format? Do not prepare a 30 minutes presentation if you are given 15 minutes or 20 minutes. Because that would be an added stress for you to squeeze the whole 30-minute presentation within those 15 or 20 minutes, which of course at the end of the day would prove to be impossible. In the same way, if you are given a certain format, always check what that format exactly is or what are the demands of that format so that you can follow that easily. Again, check your limitations with reference to where will you be giving your presentation. What kind of a place it is? Is it a big room or a small room? What about the tools that are to be used for presentation? What about the availability of audiovisual aids? What about the seating arrangement? You need to know if there are any weaknesses or limitations related to the place where you're going to present. If you have problems with the venue, think of and check. Can you change the room around to suit your preferences? To check it pre-hand is very important, because if it is not possible, otherwise then you would work on changing your presentation in a way that you would be able to make it or to present it in the existing situation. A very important point regarding preparation to present is knowing your main points. Decide on your main points. No more than 3 points is in a 10-minute talk, maybe. Well, this is not a formula, or this is not a hard and strict, hard and fast rule, but in general, almost 3 points can be covered in a 10-minute talk. So don't have too many points to include in your presentation. Over-enthusiasm of being all-inclusive, including everything in your presentation, would spoil the focus of your presentation, so take care of that. When you are clear on how many points you want to include and what are those points you want to include, check for yourself, is there a logical connection between these points? Do not include a point in your presentation for the simple reason that you like that point, for the reason that it is interesting, for the reason that you think it is important. In all the 3 cases, check how it is related to the other points. It's not enough that you think it is important. Check the connection, establish the link of this point with the other points. And finally, for the main points, check what evidence can you produce to support your points and make your case clear. Choose the points that you think you can have supporting arguments to prove your point. When it comes to the beginning of your presentation, it is important that you briefly introduce yourself. Check that you can see all and hear you. So there are two things to check. One, that you can see all, and that all can see you. And that you can hear people when they ask questions, and of course, more importantly, people can hear you. Let them know if you are going to take questions as you proceed or invite discussion at the end, or any pattern that you want to follow. You may want to give an outline of the structure of the talk so the audience know where it is going. So if you have a handout, you can provide that. You will need to guide the audience and to gain their attention. So lead them through the presentation and gain their attention from the very beginning. In this regard, think carefully how you will introduce your topic. For example, you could start with an anecdote, a question, or some contradictory statement. At this point, I would like to make it clear that it depends upon the degree of formality of a presentation and of the context in which the presentation is to be made, that you would choose an anecdote or an example or a quotation or something interesting to start with your presentation. In academic contexts, when you make presentations, be very much careful that you do not bring in something for the simple reason that it is catchy and it is interesting, without taking care of that it fits into a formal situation of presentation or not. When you prepare for the middle part of your presentation, when you prepare your talk, prepare it in a way that it leads the audience through your main points in a logical and interesting fashion. It helps if you can plan for variety in the ways you present your case. Where they are appropriate, you can plan to use any of these: examples, anecdotes and case histories, charts and graphs, handouts. If they are handouts, then you need to decide whether you would give them at the beginning, during the session, or at the end. Again, think about whether you would use slides or video clips or any other artifact which people can have and pass around. You also need to plan about the ending of your presentation. How would you summarize what you have said? For example, in this talk we have discussed ... so whatever you want to add. Towards the end of your presentation, make your conclusions clear and state them explicitly by saying it is clear that, it is manifest that, it is evident that, etc. Plan to leave the audience a parting shot to stimulate their thoughts. Leave something stimulating and motivating at the end so that people might have it as a food for thought and think about that. Now that you have planned all your presentation according to its needs right from the beginning to the middle to the end, then what to do? When you have written your presentation, look it over. Look it over carefully from the point of view of your intended audience. Cross-check whether it meets the objectives or not. Is the structure logical or not? Is the content right for the audience in terms of the pre-knowledge of the audience? Is it too long or too short, or the size is okay, it is moderate? If there is any problem, revise the presentation. When it comes to the preparation of a presentation, it is also important to prepare your visuals. Prepare your visuals, which include PowerPoint slides, overhead projector foils, etc. Make sure they are ready to use, they are clear, and that any text is big enough to see. 24 points or larger in most of the cases. Well, when I started talking about planning how to present and planning your presentation, I talked about writing your contents as well. It is very easy to say that write your contents carefully, plan them carefully. However, the big question, how to plan them carefully or how to structure them in a good way, still remains there. Well, on this slide, I would like to talk about this question. I would like to answer this question. When it comes to the structure of your contents that you present on your presentation slides, it is important that your presentation should have a clear structure. The following can be a good rule. Tell them what you're going to tell them, which means give an introduction. Then tell them the details, that is, give the main body. And then tell them what you told them, which means you would be recapitulating, you would be drawing a conclusion. The points within the main body of your presentation should have a logical flow as well. Many times it happens so that students who work on their presentations, they bring in right materials, but for the simple reason that the materials are not organized in a logical sequence in the presentation, their presentations are not very effective or they are not very impressive. I have already referred to the preparation of visual aids. When it comes to preparing visual aids, it is important that you use acetates on an overhead projector, which means you use transparencies on projectors. Use only a few lines of print on each of the transparencies, or make a simple diagram for the transparencies. In comparison to the use of PowerPoint, for the projector, that is overhead projector, you need to have comparatively simpler presentation materials. If you are confident that the technology will work in our context, especially considering the electricity issues and other problems, plus if it is permitted and appreciated in the context where it is to be presented, you may prefer to use PowerPoint. However, ensure that you have transparencies or at least printouts of your presentation as a backup. If you use PowerPoint or similar software, avoid gimmicks such as jingles, animation or sound effects that either distract attention or slow down the presentation. If you fly in text, make sure you use the same method throughout the presentation. What I want to say is कि अगर आप PowerPoint यूज़ कर रहे हैं for example, तो उसमें कोई बहुत ज़्यादा जिसको कहते हैं ना शशके करने की ज़रूरत नहीं है. There is no need to bring in a lot of technology into that. एक चीज़ उड़ती हुई इधर से आ रही है, दूसरी चीज़ उड़ती हुई यहाँ से आ रही है, एक नीचे से निकल रही है उसमें से, एक ऊपर से ढम करके आके उसके ऊपर गिर रही है. Nothing like that. Formal presentations have to be formal in their appearance as they appear on the scene, on the screen of your PowerPoint presentation. Have the text in simple straight fonts. Don't use informalized fonts. Go for very formal standard fonts such as Roman, Times New Roman or Arial, etc. Because it is important that your audience is able to read it with ease and comfort. Plus, it would add to the degree of formality of your presentation. Also, do not use too much colors and too much of the objects flying in. Do not have the text flying in, coming from right or left and falling on the screen. If you are doing that, sometimes it is okay, but in that case make sure that you use the same method throughout the presentation. हर slide पे किसी नए ही तरीके से कुछ ना हो रहा हो. Keep the system same through the presentation. And the key to success is keep it simple. Use technology as a tool where it helps rather than for the sake of it. Continuing on the visual part of presentations, I would like to talk a bit more about using PowerPoint, overhead projectors or flip charts. You may be allowed to use an overhead projector, a data projector or flip chart as a part of your presentation. If you think that you might like to use one, or if it is a compulsion to use them, it is wise to try to practice on one beforehand so you know what you are doing. Out of my experience as a teacher, I would say that students at all levels, be it undergrad, masters, MPhil or even PhD level, they would come for their final presentations, their projects and even the presentations of their thesis without any planning. They would come to the examination hall or to the venue of their presentation as the last person. With the result, they would not have time to check or to have some practice on the tools, on the mechanical devices that they are going to use. It is always good that before you start, you check the computer and the lighting. Make sure no bright lights are illuminating the screen. Take care of your positioning. Stand to one side of the projector or the flip chart so the audience can see the material. Face and speak to your audience, not the screen. एक और बहुत बड़ी गलती while presentation students do is कि वो ये करते हैं कि अपना मुंह कर लेते हैं presentation screen की तरफ, looking at the screen, the multimedia screen or the projector screen, और बोलना शुरू हो जाते हैं. They would keep on explaining without looking at the audience. Inexperienced PowerPoint presenters have their backs to the audience most of the times. Yes, I agree to this. This is the case with most of the students. This is the case with most of the students in Pakistani context. All too often the slides are just a security blanket for the speaker, not visual aids for the audience. Asal purpose of slides is to help you remember what you are going to talk about. ये सिर्फ आपके लिए clues होते हैं. You need to prepare your PowerPoint in a way that would help you, it would signpost your journey through the presentation. It is very little of visual aids actually for the audience. Continuing on the use of PowerPoint, overhead projectors or flip charts, I would say do not use too many slides. 3 or 4 would be sufficient for a short presentation, say of 3 minutes. For a 15-minute session, maybe 8 to 10 would be the absolute maximum number and probably less. Don't have too much of text on each slide. Again, as I've said, not more than 40 words on each slide. Well, I would also like to share here that you look at the slides that I share with you. At some slides, I have more than the materials that otherwise I would have. Because this is a completely different context, that is a distance learning context where to ensure that you receive the message that I send, the message that I give, I have to give more materials on the slides. In real life situations where you have a face-to-face presentation or interaction, the feedback of the audience immediately tells you whether you need to re-emphasize or elaborate something or repeat it. It is important to know that the more slides and the more words on each slide, the less the audience will listen to you in general. Whereas the less and simpler slides you have, the better you will communicate when it comes to face-to-face presentations. Plan your presentation carefully and only use slides where they will clarify points. Another important word of caution is do not try to write too much on each slide. As I have already said, not more than 30 or 40 words on a slide, ranging somewhere from 30 to 40 words in a large font that is easy to see would work when it comes to a projector, overhead projector. However, in the case of PowerPoint, maybe you can have a few more words. Use note form and bullets rather than full sentences. I'm sure you would have noticed that throughout the course, as I have been presenting on the PowerPoint slides, I have been very frequently using bullets and numbering to give sequence, order, and to add to the ease of the reader. I have been signposting with the help of these markers. It is very hard for a member of the audience to read slides and listen simultaneously. They are unlikely to doing either well, so the best slides contain just a few words. Slides can contain certain prompts to remind you of what you will say next. For me, for example, in these presentations, in most of the cases, the heading is used as a prompt that enables me smoothly shift from one idea to the other. Right now, for example, at the top of the slide, if you look at, you would see this CONT, that is an abbreviated form of continued, shows that this slide again is a continuation of the same idea or the same main idea that I was talking about regarding using PowerPoint, overhead projector or flip chart. Anyhow, press W to blank the screen or B to black it out. Pressing any key restores the slides when talking about a point which does not require a slide, thus reducing the distraction for the audience. Dark blue on white or cream gives a good contrast, whereas red text on a green background is harder to read. So make careful choices of colors and use slides on the screen only when needed. When it comes to making choices regarding the size and font of your text, be careful. Do not put everything in uppercase, that is in capital letters, as this looks very cruel or very crude, and it does not give a very good impression. It becomes difficult for the reader to read it. Check that the slides are easy to read from a distance, and as I've already said, use a very standardized kind of a font with a reasonable size of the font. Use color and bold for emphasis, but do not use too much color. Have a good contrast, that is dark blue text on a cream or white background, etc. When it comes to the preparation of pictures, especially tables, diagrams and charts for a presentation, you can use all of these. They are a good resource. When for a PowerPoint you are using these, it is excellent for the delivery of pictures and diagrams, and they will help to break up and add variety to the long streams of text seen in many presentations that we would call bad presentations. The average PowerPoint slide contains 40 words, as I have already said, so maybe a small table or a diagram or a chart can be added. A little humor can grab the attention of the audience. You can put in something that would be a clue towards something lighter. Don't get carried away with flashy PowerPoint presentation effects, as these may distract attention from the content. I'm sorry, this is a typo error. Please correct it. This is from. Continuing on the same topic, I would say, if using PowerPoint, write down main points on a postcard size piece of card as a prompt and also as a backup in case the technology fails. Especially in the case of students, in order to overcome your nervousness, confusion and discomfort with presentation, the use of postcard size pieces of cards with which you can have some signposting for your presentation, it is really helpful. Write your important points in a sequence on these cards and keep them in a sequence near you. It is not necessary to hold them in your hand, but when needed, at least they should be accessible to you. This would add to your confidence. Well, using bullets as pointers or markers is good, but too many bullets can machine gun your audience to sleep. Speedily and rapidly going through all these bullet points from one to the other and yet another, it would spoil the presentation and audience would lose all the interest. Good presentations will have a variety of slides, some with bullets, some without, and some with images, some with charts. 20 slides with 5 bullets on each means you're trying to get across 100 points, whereas the average person will absorb at the most only 5 points from your presentation. So be careful in the quantity of the contents that you present and the way you present them with bullet marks. This was all about preparing for your presentation. Now that you have taken care of all these aspects and you are ready to present, what is it that you are supposed to do on the day of presentation? As I have already said, arrive first. Come a bit early. Arrive early enough to check the equipment and seating as they are, whether they are as you want them to be or not. Have water to hand. By the way, I have it right now here available for me. Act confident no matter how you are feeling. Sounding confident is more important than being confident. Sometimes, even if you are not very much confident, if you act confident, it helps. Make eye contact with the audience. This eye contact enables you have a better rapport. And smile. This is something very simple that you can do to have a good relationship with your audience. Well, when it comes to starting a presentation, it is important to understand that in modern English, presentations tend to be much less formal than they were even 20 years ago. Most audience these days prefer a relatively informal approach. However, there is a certain structure to the opening of a presentation that you should observe. Get people's attention. Make them attentive. You have to do that. That is your job as a presenter. Welcome them. Greeting people is important. Introduce yourself and follow it by stating the purpose of your presentation. And then also tell them how you want to deal with the questions so that there is no interruption that you do not want to have during your presentation. If you want them to ask questions during the presentation, let them know at what point. If you want them to ask questions at the end, tell them that there would be ample time for this at the end. Well, now we would go into the details of each of these points. See, we have talked about these 5 points. But very briefly, we need to explore these further. The first one is to get people's attention. Ask yourself, if I could have everybody's attention. And then look at people and ask for that. For that, you can exactly use the same words. If I could have everybody's attention, please. Can I have Can I have everybody's attention, please? If we can start, I think perhaps we should begin. Let's get started. Should we begin, etc. So by saying that, grab the attention of people. Once you see that they're attentive, then welcome them. Welcome you to today's presentation, ... whatsoever, or thank you for coming, or good morning ladies and gentlemen, I welcome you to the presentation that I'm going to make on whatsoever, or on behalf of dash I'd like to welcome you. Any of other choices apart from these you can make, but make it sure that you explicitly welcome them. To explicitly welcome them starts building a kind of rapport or relationship between the speaker, the presenter, and the audience. This leads towards introduction. Yes, your introduction. Again, it is important, even if you think that most of the people in your audience know you and they know you by name, it is important to mention your name. When it comes to your presentation as a student, it becomes even more important. Don't ever take for granted that the teacher knows your name. So, it is important to say, my name is dash. For example, I am responsible for presenting this on whatsoever topic. For those of you who don't know me, my name is dash, or as you know, I am dash. So using any kind of structure, introduce yourself, give your name. If it is something important to tell about your class, your group, your course, etc., talk about that. Keep it brief and precise. Don't go into too much details, but make it a point that you get yourself introduced. This is the time when you're supposed to state the purpose of your presentation. You may say, this morning I'd like to present dash, or today I'd like to discuss dash, or what I want to do this morning is to talk to you about dash, or any other linguistic structure for that matter. But you need to explicitly mention the purpose of your presentation. Out of experience, I would like to share that there are a lot of presenters, be students or otherwise, they would take it for granted that the audience knows their purpose of presentation. Thus, they would not explicitly mention the purpose of their presentation, with the result that most of the people in the audience would be misled, and at the end, sometimes they are disappointed because they would think that the presentation was not about what they thought. So it is good to make it clear at the beginning. When you start making your presentation, it is also important that you state how you want to deal with questions. For example, you may say, if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them as we go along. Or you may say, feel free to ask any questions. If you want to answer their questions at the end, it is important that you tell this to the audience. For example, perhaps we can leave any questions you have until the end. Or there will be plenty of time for questions at the end. This would ensure the audience that they do not need to haste or hurry for the questions, because they would be given a chance to ask for answers to those questions that they think they need to ask for clarity. It is very crucial that when you are presenting, you take care of the issues of speed and pacing. Many presentations, even those by professionals, may go wrong because people try to cover too much information in the time available. So they would be just rushing through the materials, and in this effort they try and gabble their way through a set of bullet points at top speed, even though people cannot take in what is being said. So be at a moderate speed. Sometimes you can increase your speed, at some other moments you need to reduce it. Do not have the same monotonous pace throughout. To tackle with the issues of speed and pacing, it is important that you cut out unnecessary information, and even information you think is valuable if it does not fit into the time allowed. Presenting 5 points in a good way with clarity is far better than presenting 10 or 12 points where the audience is unable to grasp even 1 or 2 of those. You must be able to deliver the whole presentation at a speed slower than your normal talking speed. Why this is important? Because it is necessary that people can take in what you are saying and jot down some notes. So in a way you help them taking notes. Talk more slowly than you feel is necessary. Take a moment or two to breathe between each point. This would not only give you a chance to relax and release tension, but also it would re-energize people to get ready to understand the next point that you present. If you have already asked the people that they can ask questions at the end, it is very important that you manage time in such a way that you leave time for questions at the end. Treat your audience with the respect you would like to have shown to you. Answer their questions directly and honestly. By honestly, what I mean is, if you don't know the answer of a question that is asked, tell that you are not very much sure about that. Also tell that you can check that and ask, do they want you to get back to them on that? Listen carefully to any question, and if the audience is large, repeat it to ensure everyone in the audience has heard. Answer briefly and to the point. बहुत सारी presentations में what happens is that the presenter would be engaged in one-to-one conversations with people. कोई सवाल पूछेगा, अगर वो पहली रो में बैठा हुआ है तो he or she would ask the question at a very low pitch of voice. जो presenter को तो शायद सुनेगा, but in the hall or in the room where there are 60 or 100 people sitting, आखिरी रो में बैठे हुए लोगों को शायद नहीं सुन रहा. What would be the result? People would be distracted. They would start talking and doing other activities because they would think that this is a one-to-one conversation between the presenter and the person who has asked the question. So if somebody asks a question in a lower voice, what you can simply do is restate the question. दोबारा से कह दें उस क्वेश्चन को, आप बोल दें, ऊंची आवाज में बोल दें Tell the audience, okay, so this is the question that we have received, this is the question that I have, this is the question that I am asked, और फिर उसको repeat कर दें and then go for the answer so that everybody is interested and involved. जैसे मैंने पहले कहा, if you don't have an answer, say so and offer to find out the answer for that. Simply sorry, I don't know is a very acceptable answer to some difficult questions. Relax and do not feel as if you do have to know everything. It's all right अगर आपको कोई चीज़ नहीं आती है, don't get confused. Let it be clear to the people who are your audience that there may be certain things, maybe a couple of things that you are not clear about, but there are many things that you are clear about. If you would get confused, maybe you would not even be able to express your clarity on the other things. If you are asked a question and you feel you should know the answer, consider saying, thank you. That's a very interesting question. Can I get back to you on that? This would help you build a rapport with your audience. Questions can be neutral, friendly, or hostile. If a question is provocative, answer it directly. Never be rude to the questioner or show you are upset. Sorry. Never से शुरू करें. Never be rude to the questioner or show you are upset. Don't compromise yourself and maintain your point of view and never lose your temper. Well, dear students, here is a rule of 3 that I am going to share with you. This is one of the oldest of all the presentation techniques, generally saying, known about since the time of Aristotle. And what is this rule of 3? It has 3 rules. The first rule is the audience are likely to remember only 3 things from your presentation. Plan in advance what these will be. What it means is that audience cannot remember everything. People are very forgetful, and again, human attention span is very limited. So there would be only a couple of things, maybe not more than 3 things that people would be able to remember. And then you need to identify as a presenter what are those important few things that you want the audience to remember. Believe it or not, the chances are people will only remember 3 things from your presentation, which may mean 3 or so. So before you start writing your presentation, plan what are those key messages that you want to give. And once you have these messages, structure the main part of your presentation around these messages and look at how they could be better illustrated. It is important that you cover less area in your presentation, but cover it in detail and with clarity than covering a lot of points without any clarity on them. Out of experience, I would also like to share कि जब students present कर रहे होते हैं, अच्छा 18 points present कर चुके होते हैं, and when you say कि बेटा you had 15 minutes to present और अब 25 मिनट हो गए हैं, अगले student की बारी है, so you need to wind it up, तो they would be panicked और कहेंगे मैम बस 3 points और रह गए ना, please मुझे ये कर लेने दें, kind of things. Yes, I can understand as a teacher that a lot of effort goes in for preparing each and every point. However, it is all right if you give a neat closure to your presentation by winding up at that point, and in the hurry or hassle to add a few more points, actually do not spoil the impression that you create by presenting the other points that you have initially presented. So the end is great to wrap up things or to end with a grand finale. Give a very strong ending instead of a hurried, rushed through ending. The third rule of 3 is use lists of 3 whenever you can in your presentation. Again, it does not mean lists of 3 as a hard and fast rule. Rather, it means wherever you give lists or headings or bullets, have a limited number such as not more than 3 or so. Well, these kind of strategies not only work in academic life but also in political presentations, in advertisements, etc. All these rules of 3 work. So far I have discussed how to prepare for your presentation and how to present, or what steps to be taken while presenting. However, the reality is that students most of the times find it difficult to make presentations. The question then comes how to improve your presentation skills. The first part of presentation skills where some improvement can be made is verbal delivery. पहली बात तो ये है कि be brief when it comes to verbal delivery. According to a 2005 study by the Helsinki Institute found that the average adult was able to focus on a loading web page for only 4 to 8 seconds before looking somewhere else. This short is the span of attention of an adult human being. That is why it is important keep yourself brief. मुख्तसर फिक्रों में, जामे फिक्रों में बात कहिए. Don't drag things. Attention spans are short, so don't dwell on a specific subject too long. Move on to the next point. Number 2, this is a very, very important strategy, by the way, I would say, to improve your presentations. Ask questions to keep the audience engaged. This can be something as simple as pausing to ask if your audience understands everything you have presented thus far. Asking a simple question from the audience, so what do you understand by this? What do you think when I say this, what does it mean? Is tarah ki questions, they help you engage the audience and they release your stress as well. Another point is speak to your demographic, which means match the semantics of your audience as closely as possible. Speak their language. If you are working in a professional context, if you are going to sell skateboards, for example, use the language that is going to be a lot different than if you are working with a litigation attorney, for example. If you are making an academic presentation, then what does it mean? Use academic language for that. Do not go for slang, for example. Use of colloquial language may spoil the whole presentation that you make. You also need to work on your tone. Evolutionary psychology suggests that people of both sexes respond better to deep male voices and high female voices. Panel says it takes practice to change the tone of your voice, but it can be done. So control your voice. Again, sometimes raise the pitch of your voice, sometimes bring it down, sometimes be slow, sometimes be faster, so that the monotony is broken. Work with your tone and voice. Another key to success is that avoid speaking softly or other speech patterns. Do not use them that make you seem unconfident. For example, avoid ending sentences in an escalating tone that suggests that every sentence you speak is a question. It is also very important that you avoid the too much use of etc. So when you are speaking, take care of your tone. Aguilera offers one strategy for kicking a fill word habit. Say the offending word and concentrate on it. Then tell yourself, this is a fill word. I'm avoiding this, he says. When you say this, it creates that pattern of changing it so that you'll catch yourself when you start saying it. Fill words here means the fillers that are etc. So be careful about that. Don't use words like don't. Too much repetitive use of negative sentences, statements or phrases. Don't think about elephants. Okay, now what are you thinking about, etc. Try to avoid these kind of statements when you are talking to people. Not only the verbal expression needs improvement when you are working on your presentation skills, but also your body language. There are certain aspects of body language that if you work on them, you can have far improved presentation skills. For example, stand at a comfortable distance. Stay at a few feet distance from your audience instead of being too close to them or to be too far from them. This really spoils the rapport that can be built between the between the speakers and the listener. Eye contact. Don't serve the audience with your eyes. Rather, make eye contact with one person at a time. What does it mean? Do not keep on moving your eyes. as if you're searching for somebody. Also, do not avoid making contact of your eyes with people. You can gradually and slowly, one by one, you can have eye contact with different people. It is also important that you appear confident. Keep your shoulders back, arms at your sides or held in front of your body when making gestures. Hands open or only slightly closed. Don't close them tightly. Smile slightly or keep your face neutral. Take long and I would say confident strides. Make every movement purposeful and decided. Treat props like your resume or handout as though they are of value. जो आप handout साथ लेके गए हुए हैं, कागज साथ हैं आपके जो आपने देने हैं, या you want to show anything, उनको handle them in a very graceful way as if you really value them very much. Don't be casual in that. The third aspect of improvement on presentation skills is improvement on the use of PowerPoint. Well, a good PowerPoint has certain characteristics. Number one, it relies heavily on images, not too much of writing. B, it has only 1 or 2 sentences per slide. Thirdly, to some extent at least, it entertains or it grabs the interest. And fourthly, it enhances your presentation but does not summarize it. On the other hand, a bad PowerPoint presentation would contain fonts that would be very small if it is at a very big distance from the audience, and for a huge audience then maybe lesser size than 32 would be a problem. Has more than 5 or 6 lines of text per slide, so having a lot of text on one slide would be a problem in some cases. However, I would say that it varies from context to context. In some contexts, you can have more information on one slide. It is also important that if you have a logo or some design that is to be displayed, do not display it on your every slide. Also, do not provide the copies of your PowerPoint as handouts. If you want to give the same material as handouts, write it on the format of handouts with some additions so that it is something new for the audience. My dear students, thus these were the 3 important aspects of the areas where presentation skills can be improved. That is the visual aspects of improvement, the body language improvement, and the improvement of PowerPoint slides. If you work on these 3 areas, you can improve your presentation skills. When it comes to the success of presentation skills, well, what is the secret of this success? I would conclude today's session, I would take it towards a conclusion by referring to these 3 secrets. The first secret of a successful presentation is preparation, preparation, and preparation. The second secret of a successful presentation, of course, is rehearsal. And the third secret of a successful presentation is anticipate the questions. Be ready and be prepared. Think of what kind of questions would be asked and think of the possible answers before you go to present. We would go through these 3 success secrets, that is preparation, rehearsal, and anticipation for the questions quickly. As far as preparation is concerned, give yourself a starting date for the project. Do a little every day. Time पे तैयारी शुरू करें, 11th hour पे मत करें. Preparation का important part according to Grace is who will you be speaking to and what hardware you will be using. Be ready about that and have knowledge about that. The second important secret of success is rehearsal. And if you ask me, frankly, I would say as a teacher that this is the biggest secret of success of students who make good presentations. There are certain do's and don'ts of rehearsal. You need to take care of them. While doing your rehearsal of your presentation, take care that you use short sentences. Also, give yourself practice in using short words, active tenses or language, use lively language, have some rehearsal and practice in using precise phrases, and project it through your voice. These are the areas where you need to have some rehearsal. There are some don'ts of rehearsal as well, which means while doing rehearsals, try learning how to avoid long, complicated sentences. Also, don't use long abstract words. Do not use passive tenses very frequently. Also, don't use cliches. Don't use hum and haw kind of words or language, and be monotonal can be very, very critical for your presentation. So while you are rehearsing, try to avoid monotone. Try to use tone with a variety, with sometimes a higher speed, sometimes a lower speed, sometimes with a higher pitch, sometimes with a softer pitch, sometimes giving stress on certain words, sometimes going speedily through things. And the last secret of success, that is anticipate the questions. Yes, it is very, very important. It is very, very crucial. Especially in academic presentations, students are evaluated not only on the basis of their presentations, but also on the basis of how satisfactorily they answer the questions that are asked from them at the end of a presentation. So when you prepare your presentation, try to anticipate the questions. Try to guess what kind of questions would be asked. Know your subject. Know your audience. Stand over your data. And when it comes to answering questions, stay calm and breathe. And as I have already said, tell the truth. Agar jawab nahi aata, tell it clearly you don't know and that you would check it. If you don't know, say so, and also check the possibility, do you need to get back to them with the right answer? And when you take questions, sometimes somebody from the audience would ask a long, complicated, multi-layered question that would have half a dozen of questions within it. It's always good to break long questions into smaller units. And the final key to that is that if you want to be successful in answering questions, answer them with confidence. Don't be intimidated. Dear students, before we really close today's session, as it is now customary now that we always have some exercises towards the end of a session, I would like you to have a quick look at the activity that is here. It would give you a chance to recapitulate what you have learned through the session. On the left side, you can see certain blocks with labels. How to welcome them, introduce yourself, state the purpose of your presentation, and state how you want to deal with questions. On the right side, in yellow small boxes, there is some information that can be fit into these boxes. Stop at this point for a while, have a look at all these and try to fill these in. Well, if you have done all this, you can see the answers quickly on this slide. Of course, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, would be used to welcome people. In the same way, the introductory possible utterances, for example, for those of you who don't know me, my name is whatsoever, or my name is dash, are the possibilities. When it comes to state the purpose of your presentation, this morning I'd like to present our whatsoever, the project or something. And in the same way, today I'd like to discuss our failures in a Japanese market, or whatsoever the main area of your presentation is, it is to be filled in. State how you want to deal with questions. This area would cover all the three utterances. These are the possible utterances that can be used in case where you state whether you want them to answer the questions during the session or at the end. Again, here is a small activity with a dialogue that is given, and then some expressions are given at the bottom, and you have to fill in the blanks to give it some sense. If you do it once and then look at how it is to be filled in, I think that would be more enjoyable for you as well. By the way, if you have done it, you can just have a quick look at the answers. If I could have everybody's attention. Good morning. On behalf of Avis, I would like to welcome you all here this morning. My name is Martin Twist and I am responsible for customer service. This morning, I would like to present our new packages for travel agents. If you have any questions you'd like to ask, I'd be happy to answer them. So you see, a kind of introduction. It is a sample introduction that you can give at the beginning of your presentation. Dear students, here is a list of all the references of materials that I have used for developing the presentation that I've shared with you. You can use these materials further, you can explore them. Before I close the session, I would like to have a quick review of the current session. Our today's session was on presentation skills that I think are of crucial importance for our students. Especially when it comes to university level students, they are very, very important. I started with the definition of what is a presentation and pointed out the characteristics of a good presentation. With this, I moved on to different types of presentations. These types were basically based on the purposes of presentations. With this, I moved on to how to plan your presentation, how to use the knowledge about the audience and to remember the audience. I also talked about how to prepare to present and how to write your contents for presentation. With this, in the session, I moved on to the use of PowerPoint, overhead projectors or flip charts, as they can be used as different tools for presentations. A very important aspect of today's session was what to do and how to do on the day of presentation. In this, I also dealt with the issues of speed and pacing. Finally, I gave you some tips on how to improve your presentation skills, basing on tips for your verbal delivery improvement, tips for your body language use effectively, and also tips for preparing PowerPoint. At the end, I shared the 3 secrets of presentation skills, which are, of course, a kind of summing up of all that we had discussed through the session. And I emphasized and reiterated that rehearsal is the key for making good presentations. Also, it is important to be prepared, to be able to anticipate what kind of questions would be asked. Towards the end of the session, I had 2 quick activities for you to recapitulate what you had learned through the whole session. With this, we come to the closure of today's session, and I would end the session here. Thank you very much.